That, of course, is the goal, although if you talk to Kurt Miller, the goal is to finish in the top 8. You want to be a playoff team, but, of course, the ultimate goal is to try and get one of those top 2 seeds and get yourself into a playoff series as opposed to a one-and-done game, which has not treated the Sun well the last couple of years. We'll be seeing the Phoenix team that has knocked the Sun out a couple of straight years on Thursday, and Chicago is off to that quick start. Possible three-point play coming up here for Jantel Lavender, so a very impressive and quick start for Chicago to this one.
Well, Lavender has a size advantage over Alyssa Thomas, and she hurt them in the first matchup between these two teams with her ability to score in the paint. So the Sky goes right to that option against the smaller Alyssa Thomas.
So Chicago grabs the quick 3-0 lead. Career high 13 rebounds for Lavender, the first time that the Sun played the Sky. First possession for Connecticut. Jasmine Thomas. There's Alyssa Thomas. Jasmine's been hot from the field in recent games, coming off 18 points in that Wednesday win over New York, and she has the first 2 here tonight.
And she's not happy because Jasmine Thomas took some contact on the baseline as Stephanie Dolson stepped up to help on the pick and roll.
Has some good three-point shooters in this game. As the Shields has a shot deflected. Allie quickly leads the league in threes. Shakina Strickland, second in threes. 3 missed by Jones, but the Sun keep it alive. Jones sets it up for Courtney Williams. And there's Jones rolling beautifully to the hoop. Takes the pass from Williams, and the Sun have their first lead.
And in one possession, you saw what Connecticut does well. They score quickly in transition. And speaking of which, Courtney Vandersloot with the early one. But also, Connecticut rebounds well offensively. They got one of those. And then they scored in the paint, which they also do very well.
So Vandersloot puts Chicago back on top as Thomas takes a quick trigger 3 and gets the bounce off of the rim.
Wow, Jasmine Thomas usually takes uncontested threes on a kick out, but that time pulled right up on Courtney Vandersloot.
Oh, that's right back at the other end is Diamond DeShields with a 3 of her own. That's her 31st three-pointer of the season. She can knock those down. Chicago on top. Strickland, a floater is good. Strickland's scoring for the most part comes from behind the arc. 80% of her points come from three-point territory, but a 2-pointer for Strickland. Sun by 1. Dolson too strong on the 3 delivery, and here's Courtney Williams, coast to coast, puts it up short. Dolson hauls in the rebound. Connecticut 13-6, tied with Las Vegas for the league lead as DeShields misfires. Strickland the rebound. And Chicago is 11-8. They are tied for 4th in the standings. Long jumper by Courtney Williams.
Chicago Sky was late getting their defensive matchups the way they wanted them on that possession, and Connecticut made them pay.
Sun by 3. Dolson, the scoop. Gets her own rebound. Vandersloot, mid-range jumper, knocks it down. Sun by 1. Connecticut 9-1 this season inside the Mohegan. Hard to beat them on this floor. As Strickland works off of the screen. 5 to shoot. Jones knows it. Takes it right to the hole. And Dolson came over and defended, and Jones misses the inside shot. And Lavender returns the favor by missing the chippy. Courtney Williams leans into one. Hits again. Courtney Williams feeling it early in this game.
And that's a good sign because no one can beat Courtney Williams up the floor. So if she runs an offensive transition, you'll be able to find an easy one.
That doesn't go down for Quigley. In traffic, Alyssa Thomas comes away with the rebound. Feeds it ahead Strickland. Long 3 off the back rim. Sun by 3. Good pace to this game early.
Very good pace. And a lot of physicality, but Kurt Miller expected that. He said Chicago's a more physical defensive team than they were last season, and that is what the Sky does best, is Courtney Vandersloot finding Allie Quigley, who's shooting it at a blistering 48% from three-point range this year.
Yeah, that was her 52nd three of the season as Alyssa Thomas kisses one home. Quigley leads the league in made threes. Thomas breaks the tie, Sun by 2. Vandersloot penetrating, hits the shot, and she was fouled. So the Chicago Sky opened this game with a conventional three-point play. And now the possibility of another one here. Jasmine Thomas gets called on the foul. Some subs here for the Sun. Rachel Banham is into the game.
An interesting dynamic happening right now for Chicago on offense, which impacts Connecticut's defense, as Courtney Vandersloot's looking to score. She is usually a pass-first point guard, so rare in basketball today, but she has had her eye on the rim and making the defense pay for spacing out.
Three-point play completed. Chicago by 1. Thomas spinning and delivering off of the glass. Sun by 1. We mentioned Banham is in the game for Connecticut. Christina Nigwe also into the game. And the turnover, a 2 on nobody. And Thomas finishes for Connecticut. The Suns score off of the Chicago turnover and lead it by 3.
And Kurt Miller's got to love that. Rachel Banham, a part of a defensive opportunity there, known for her offense.
Well, Dolson slipped away, and Vandersloot has eyes in the back of her head, as you want to go cliche route.
Back, front, side.
Yeah, yes. But that was an easy find that time, as Banham lines up and hits a 3. Well, the shots are falling for both teams early in this game.
And Connecticut needs that. Everyone knows that Connecticut would prefer to play inside out. And that's why Shekinna Strickland, Rachel Banham, even Jasmine Thomas hitting threes are so important. And that time, Allie Quigley gets one. And looked like Courtney Vandersloot was asking for a sub.
Well, Vandersloot picks up a foul following the Quigley 3. We've got a good one here. High scoring game. 4:11 to go in the opening quarter. Sun by 1. 15 games to go in the season for the Sun. 7 of them, including tonight, will be here at the Mohegan, where the Sun rarely lose.
Yeah, I mean, Connecticut has had quite an advantage in the scheduling both before All-Star break and coming out, because they played 2 at home before, and they have 2 at home coming out of that break. But watch out, because starting August 4th, the Sun have 7 of 11 on the road. That streak will end August 30th. So you got to get those home wins, because this league is very tough when you travel.
Bria Holmes in the game now for Connecticut. LaChina, we mentioned how the shots are falling tonight. How about 71% early for the Sun? They've made 10 of 14. Chicago has shot 57% from the field early, including 3 threes, 2 of them from Allie Quigley.
And no turnovers for the Connecticut Sun so far.
Loose ball foul going to go against Chicago. We have not mentioned that the Sky are playing without one of their best players tonight, one of the better defenders in the league. Gabby Williams is not with the team, ill.
Yeah, she is under the weather, so she did not travel on this trip, which means Jamira Faulkner comes in at the backup point guard spot. Gabby Williams, believe it or not, Connecticut Husky fans, if you haven't been watching, Gabby's been playing backup point guard for the Sky, so rotation changes a little bit, and they'll definitely miss her in this game.
Clea Copper tried to find Dolson instead, the turnover, and the Sun have it back. Thomas looping the pass a little too far. She led Anigwe by about a foot too much. You were mentioning clean game for the Connecticut Sun up until that point. That's their first turnover. We played 6.5 minutes. So both teams going to their bench. You mentioned Faulkner, who is returning from a knee injury. Cheyenne Parker in the game now for Chicago, and Copper with the touch earlier. That is DeShields. Tough shot. And it caught nothing but oxygen, so it goes back to Connecticut.
Diamond DeShields grabbing her right knee. And that's a shot that DeShields will take. Some people may say that's a tough, contested, or even a bad shot, but She is a pure jump shooter and gets her confidence up making shots like that.
Holmes strong to the hole. Off of the deflection. Who's going to grab it? Alyssa Thomas on the ball. And then Bantam floats it up. And Chicago comes away with it. Good hustle by the Sun as Copper in traffic loses it. Turnover against Chicago will be their third of this first quarter. These two teams have 2 games remaining against each other, including tonight. They will play each other here at the Mohegan in what will be the last home game of the season for Connecticut. That'll be in early September. Turnover against the Sun. Yeah, the Son of the Sky LaChina will play on September 6th in the final home game of the regular season for the Connecticut Sun. Lots going to happen between now and then, huh?
A whole lot. And going back to the first matchup between these two teams, man, Chicago really owned Connecticut. And that was the start of the losing streak, that 5-game losing streak for the Sun. So that's got to be something on their mind and wanting to get some revenge.
Whistle blows. Let's see what they've got. After Chicago got the second chance following the Lavender miss. Looks like it was a clock situation. They reset it 7 on the shot clock. 2:23 to go, and it's been an entertaining first quarter. Here is Faulkner driving hard, kicking out. That's a nice looking touch right there. Chantel Lavender with her 6th three-pointer of the season. Not her specialty, but give it to her, she'll take it.
But that face-up jump shot, she does just as well as any player in the league, and not just post player. She can make a tough 2, and as in that case, like you said, a rare long 3, because she can just shoot it.
And it looks like her foot was on the line. Sky by 1 point, 23-22. Another whistle. Check the team foul situation. Not many. Clean game so far. 2 fouls on each team. Jonquel Jones picks up her first.
Very high scoring first quarter so far, so you got to think neither coach happy with that. Diamond DeShields looks like she's got maybe some heat on that knee. We saw her limping earlier. We'll try to keep our eyes on that.
Absolutely. That could be something to watch. That could be a big development in this game as Katie Lou Samuelson is into the game. A lot of UConn presence on this Chicago team. We mentioned, though, that Gabby Williams, one of those former Huskies,
Take a look
not with the team.
Here at that injury to Diamond DeShields. It looks like she goes up here for the shot and may have just twisted it. I thought she may have banged knees, but didn't see it there.
That's what I thought, and that would be some consolation.
Right.
If you're Chicago.
Yeah, you're right. Like a bruise, maybe.
Mm-hmm. But doesn't look like that was the case.
It's that right knee, unless it was when she came down.
By the way, do we need to explain they're not booing when Katie Lou gets into the game?
No.
I didn't think so.
Good to see her back and healthy after missing significant time. Back in the lineup, missed about a month. And so that's tough for a player, especially in her first year, just trying to get her footing, get into a rhythm. And they really need her on both ends of the floor in the second half. Your depth counts.
Yeah, Katie Lou broke her wrist back on June the 9th. But she's up and running again. Thomas tried to thread the needle. Jones recovers. Thomas off balance. Jones the offensive rebound. 1 to shoot. Jones got it off and hit it. What a play that was as Jonquel Jones stuck with it and she was rewarded.
Silky smooth jump shot.
Makes it a 1-point game. Late here in the first quarter. Samuelson fouled by Holmes. Don't reach out on the jump shooter.
We should mention that this Chicago Sky team had some travel issues yesterday. 4 members of the team, including head coach and a couple of the starters, were able to get in late yesterday evening, but a majority of the team did not land until about 3 o'clock. Then had to drive here for an hour, and many of them not able to get sleep in the bed until 4. They might have landed, I think, in the 2 a.m. hour and weren't able to get into the bed until 4. had some missed luggage, so it's been a tough trip after being at the airport all day. And, of course, did not shoot around. I don't blame James Wade at all. Tried to let them get a couple hours of sleep.
Yeah, at this time of year, as you well know, you do traveling all summer long. You know, with the storms, you never know what might come up in terms of travel disruption. We're going to go the other way. That's a Connecticut Sun foul.
And of course, WNBA teams fly commercial. They don't charter. So thank goodness they were able to switch airlines and get the rest of the team here at all.
I asked Kurt Miller about how that would affect Chicago, and he said, you know what? They'll be fine tonight. They may feel it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Copper right down the lane. Blocked by Jones. The Sun have it. And Heidemann gathers it in with 35 seconds to go in the first quarter. Morgan Tuck takes the feed from Williams and delivers the baseline lay-in to tie this game at 26.
Well, Chicago's trapping and sending two players on the pick and roll, but that pressure is not helping as Connecticut's able to find the open man.
Strickland comes away with the steal. Strickland taking it all the way, and she's fouled. Well, it was Diamond DeShields who won the skills competition, beating Jonquel Jones. Shakina Strickland, who won the three-point shooting contest at the All-Star Weekend, showing off some pretty good skills there.
And we've seen her take a couple of shots inside the three-point arc to start this game. And that's what Shakina Strickland has to always keep open as an option, because teams are going to run her off three. That time it was just being aggressive in transition, but she's not just a three-point shooter. She's a scorer.
82% free throw shooter. Doesn't get to the line all that often, as you would imagine. As we mentioned earlier, most of her points come from behind the arc, but she's a good free throw shooter and hit a couple there to break this late first quarter tie. Winding it down here. First quarter at the Mohegan. Faulkner. Nadeau has her shot rejected, and then Heidemann with the rejection as the horn sounded, and that's how the first quarter is going to come to an end. So the Sun, who have been playing some pretty good defense during the winning streak, show off the D here late in the first quarter. We're at the end of one. It's a good one. The Sun lead the Sky by a pair. Well, you saw a late block in that first quarter from Natisha Heidemann, and Jonquel Jones. You can add one more to her total. She leads the league now with 46 as the Sun lead the Sky by 2 here at the end of one quarter. Let's check in with the third member of our crew. Here's Robin Brown.
Well, Bob, in Kurt Miller's last huddle, he said, guys, this is going to be a long game, but Chicago does not have our depth, so we're going to run. I'll get you rest, and then I'll get you back in there. You'll notice Miller went to his bench early, 6 substitutions in that first quarter, every Sun player playing minutes. He said Chicago wants to run the pace, so we got to make sure we get back in transition.
All right, thanks, Robin. And Jonquel Jones puts up the three and hits the three. So the Sun now have their largest lead in this game, 31-26. I think that's a logical tactic, Shiner, for Kurt Miller to go deep into his bench. Certainly has a deeper team tonight against the Chicago team that's shorthanded and also travel-weary, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, and one thing that Kurt did share with us in terms of his strategy for this game, he said, we're trying to keep them under 75 points. So defensively, that first quarter was a little high scoring for what they would want to allow. He said, we don't want to get into a high scoring game with Chicago. So I'm interested to see if Connecticut could put the clamp on them here in the second.
Yeah, this Chicago team has averaged a little more than 85 points a game during their 4-game winning streak. They are a team that can put points on the board. They are third in the league in scoring. In fact, you have the third and fourth teams, respectively, in scoring in the league. Connecticut 4. They average 78 per game, and Chicago averages 80 per game. Heidemann shooting it up and knocking it down as she got knocked down.
That was a tough basket by Heidemann.
And that's a deep three from Astu Nadeau, her third three of the season. She missed a lot of time this season playing in the Eurobasket tournament. played for the winning team, Spain. As Heidemann has that one deflected, knocked away. Allie Quigley comes away with it. Copper, the leaner. Williams, the rebound. Williams, downhill, kick out, tuck, three. A little too strong. And Jones, the putback. She is right there for two more.
There's just been no match for Jonquel Jones in this game. Chicago struggling to find an adequate matchup for her, and that's why she's been so effective this season, Bob, is because she can do anything on the basketball court. She can rebound the ball. She can knock down open shots. We saw her with the blocks earlier at 6'6" with a 7'2" wingspan. It's a challenge.
Well, she is number 3 in the league in second chance points, and of course that stems from her offensive rebounding ability, and she also shoots threes pretty nicely. Straight away, Courtney Williams hits the three. That's only her 9th three of the season, but when she takes them, she usually makes them. She's around 45% from behind the arc. Sun by 7, their biggest lead. Good defense here by the Sun. Copper kick out Quigley, wide open. You knew that was going down as soon as she let it go.
Yeah, that's not a player you can help off of.
No, that's charity right there. As Heidemann, hesitation dribble, looking for space, instead double team. Courtney kicks up to tuck. That's a three. Jones, another offensive rebound. Heidemann, the three.
What an unselfish look by Jonquel Jones. Most coaches would say, go back up with that, because she does have that size advantage.
Chicago comes away with it. Down 4. Quigley, Dolson rolling, Dolson colliding, and Dolson gets called on the offensive foul. Nice job underneath by Strickland.
And Connecticut's done a very good job at that today. Is that third player rotation on the weak side on the pick and roll. Chicago wants to get to the rim, but Strickland plants herself right there with the understanding that Dolson really didn't have enough time to change her mind about what she wanted to do. So that is a great defensive play. And it looked like she was outside of the restricted area as well.
Alyssa Thomas keeps it alive for Connecticut. Shot clock under 10. Strickland. Alyssa Thomas puts it up, but she was fouled. She hits the shot, and a possible three-point play coming up for Connecticut.
I would love to keep track of the different ways Alyssa Thomas scores around the basket, either in the full court or the half court. She's so creative. She's undersized, but she's got great mobility. She can make mid-air changes to how she's shooting the ball. She's ambidextrous, so she can shoot with her right and left hand. And so she's challenging. And one of the best scorers in the paint in the WNBA.
And she's so strong.
Mm-hmm. Can take contact and finish.
Right, play through. Fouled that time by Cheyenne Parker. No three-point play. She missed the free throw. But the Sun lead it by 6. Had a 2-point lead to begin the second quarter.
Diamond DeShields back in the game, so that's a good sign for the Sky.
Yeah, she sat earlier with sort of a knee issue, but she's back out there, and she has the ball, and she fires away. Too long on the three, long bounce. Strickland comes away with it, and it squirts out to Alyssa Thomas, and her pass up the court knocked away by Vandersloot. But the Sun will keep it. We'll have 19 to shoot.
Herb Miller was talking about his defense coming into the game and how he wanted them to pick their spots to be aggressive. Well, they attacked the pick and roll on that possession, and we've seen them do that quite a bit here.
Yeah, that's a change in tactics for the Sun as Thomas takes the pass, and it rolls around and through for Jasmine Thomas. And Jasmine, another good scoring game for her earlier on. She was hot early in this one. Now has 7. Yep, one gets knocked away and out of bounds. Aggressive defense by the Sun. And they have their largest lead. It's Connecticut on top of the sky by 8. You come away with 14 points per game over the last 6. LaChina, and she is on her way to another double-figure scoring night. She has 7 here with 5:56 to go in the first half.
When Jasmine Thomas is shooting the ball well, this is a completely different Connecticut Sun offense. I mean, she has gotten better at her three-point percentage through the course of her career, has really been more aggressive in shooting the ball overall, but she just doesn't get enough credit for what she does for this team as a leader, as a professional.
Well, how about Vandersloot there beating the buzzer with a difficult shot? Well, difficult for a lot of people. She has a pretty good knack for that kind of thing.
Well, definitely difficult against Jasmine Thomas, who I should have added to that list, is also a really good defender.
Yes. Good defender, all defensive team last year. That's an offensive foul, though, on Shekinna Strickland, so Chicago is going to get it back. It's a high-scoring first quarter.
5:29 left here in the second. Jonquel Jones does have 2 fouls, so I'm interested in how that impacts what Chicago does offensively. And Steffi Dolson also has 3. She's on the bench.
Well, Strickland has just picked up a couple of quick fouls as she knocks the Shields down. The Shields is the leading scorer for this team, an all-star in her second year. 3 points so far, but as we have already mentioned, she sat for a while. Sore knee, back in there though. Vandersloot. Quigley has 3 threes. There's a 2, and it's going to be a foul call on Strickland again. Didn't like the call. You could see by the reaction. She's still reacting. No way to treat the birthday girl.
Not at all. Let's take a look at this. Well, the trouble with that is Strick started to take a fall before Quigley got there. She was in position, but just didn't allow Quigley to initiate the contact there. So I understand on that one.
Quigley had missed only 1 free throw all season, 16 for 17 coming in. Meanwhile, we mentioned the birthday girl, Shekinna Strickland, now 29 years old as of today, has 3 fouls.
Kirk Miller always says, well, we're yet to have a 30-year-old. They have 2 29-year-olds, but a very young team. No 30-year-olds on this team.
And the other 29-year-old for the Sun is Jasmine Thomas. Here's Jonquel Jones on the whistle. The loose ball foul, and it's going to stay at the Connecticut end. Cheyenne Parker picks up that personal.
Yep, she wrapped up Alyssa Thomas under the basket, right there under the basket. See how she's got that right arm on the hold.
So the Sun keep it. Bria Holmes, a 3. And Jonquel Jones, another offensive rebound and another putback for Jones, the all-star.
No one puts a body on Jonquel Jones. You know how effective she is on the offensive glass. You have got to find her and push her back.
Parker at Jones. Lavender couldn't put it back. Sun have it back. Holmes down the lane, felt the contact, and now a couple of free throws coming up for Connecticut.
Bria Holmes is going end to end. Good handle and good body control, takes the contact. I like her aggressiveness going to the rim. She's also capable of hitting the long-range shot, but I like it when she uses that 6'1" frame and makes the defense have to defend her off the bounce.
Free throw is good. The Sun have made three of their first 4 free throws, and I make early note of that because If there's one Achilles heel on this team that's quite apparent, is the free throw shooting for Connecticut.
And it's important. I mean, every opportunity you get, especially with a team like Connecticut that's so physical and so good on the offensive glass, you're going to go to the charity stripe. Make them pay.
2 out of 2 for Holmes. Vandersloot, Lavender, and DeShields. Good look. Doesn't go. Jones yanks down another rebound. She has a half a dozen rebounds in this first half, and whistle's been blown a lot in the second quarter.
It has. We kind of jinxed the game because we talked about how free-flowing it was in the first quarter, but I thought that there could have been a few foul calls even in the first. It's just been physical, but the whistle's definitely much tighter here in the second quarter.
Well, Chicago made no secret of the fact that when they beat Connecticut back on June 23rd at Chicago, they were the tougher team. They out-physicaled, if that's a correct turn of phrase, the Sun. The Sun admitted they got out-toughed in that game and trying to respond tonight, and it has been a physical game.
When you know you have to see a team again, I didn't hear them make those comments, but when you know you have to play a team again at some point, you got to be careful what you say. It could come back and bite you.
Yeah, Chicago made no secret of it. You know, they verbalized what a lot of teams now know they need to do against Connecticut. I mean, it's an open book. Everybody knows everybody else's strengths and weaknesses, and the book on Connecticut is to try and be physical with them. That's a great blow-by dribble and a couple of free throws coming up for one of the great ball handlers in this league, Courtney Vandersloot.
There is a point guard battle going on right now between Jasmine Thomas and Courtney Vandersloot. And I don't know if we'll see it at the end. This Sloot gives it an old clap, and those two are going at it. You got to love it.
That is a physical battle. Two tough, great players.
Man, I really thought Jasmine Thomas could have been an all-star. You know, I really feel like she's had that kind of season. And you can't just always look at numbers. You got to look at the impact the player has on the game. And there is no doubt that Jasmine Thomas has had an all-star season. She's playing on the #1 team in the WNBA, and she's the leader.
And there she is, putting up the three and hitting it. Right on cue, Jasmine Thomas delivers 3, and the Sun lead it by a dozen. Thomas now in double figures again. She has 11. Vandersloot and the block. Jonquel Jones swatted it away from Lavender. 4 on 2, and Brielle Holmes finishes for Connecticut on the fast break as the Sun take the 14-point lead, leading to a Chicago timeout. Under 3 to go in the first half. The Sun on a run. Well, she was an all-star this season with China, and Jonquel Jones is certainly in the conversation for MVP, isn't she?
No doubt. I mean, she has been so important to the success of this Connecticut Sun team that comes into tonight #1 in the WNBA, and consistently #1 in rebounding for the first half of the season, #1 in blocks, so she impacts the game on both ends, but she's also drawing an extra defender this season. Sometimes she's getting triple teamed, so she's opening up the floor for her teammates. She's more aggressive and a more physical player in the paint. No doubt one of the best players in this league at this point and an MVP candidate.
Out of the James Wade timeout. The Sky working around and working into a nice-looking three-point play. Shot made by Copper to make it an 11-point game.
Well, Connecticut's taking away strong side from Courtney Vandersloot, really taking away her vision. So that player on the far side of the basket might just be open, and another offensive rebounding opportunity for Connecticut. That's got to be a concern for James Wade. At the break, they had a +7 advantage on the glass, the Connecticut Sun does.
Well, Sun, if you go by rebounding percentage, they're #1 in the league, #1 offensively, and #2 defensively. And Courtney Williams, of course, her reputation is now solidified as one of the best, if not the best, rebounding guard in the league. Quick, athletic, always on the ball. Missed that first free throw. The foul on Lavender. 1 out of 2 for Courtney. Suns' defense in the second quarter has been much tighter than we saw in that wide open first. Got knocked away. Off for the miss. Knocked up to Alyssa Thomas. And then the steal. Vandersloot took it away from Alyssa Thomas. Gives for Copper. Changing directions. DeShields off of the rebound. Tumbles to the floor. And it goes back to Connecticut.
Missed opportunity for Chicago because they had numbers on that break.
Under 2 minutes to go here in the first half. Some by double digits. And Jasmine Thomas bounced it off her foot. So Chicago gets it back. They are a sub-500 team on the road this year. 3-5 away from Chicago. Steal by Courtney Williams. Nice step in. Loops it ahead, taken right back. DeShields knocked it away. And then the touchdown pass to Vandersloot goes out of bounds.
You see some frustration there by Courtney Vandersloot, some missed opportunities. Both teams playing a little sloppy right now in this stretch. And you want to clean it up going into the half and capture some momentum before that break.
Sun by a dozen. As they bid for their 5th straight win, Courtney Williams will go for the line. Again, felt the contact, got off the shot, and will take a couple of more free throws. The Sun have attempted 9 free throws in this first half, 10 attempts for Chicago.
Yeah, the foul trouble really mounting for both teams in this second quarter. Defense just comes over and fouls the jump shooter, which you never want to do. But Courtney's so quick from floor to jump shot, very explosive. So oftentimes the defense is caught off guard with her ability to just stop and pop. And if you're off balance, you will foul her.
It was Vandersloot on that last foul, her second. And Williams now has double figures. 3 players already in double figures for the Sun. High-scoring first half for Connecticut with a minute to go in the first half. Now Cheyenne Parker, set up by Faulkner. And James Wade will, actually I believe it's Connecticut that calls for the timeout here with 52 and 9/10 seconds to go in this first half. And good scoring first half for Connecticut. Jonquel Jones with 11, Jasmine Thomas with 11, Courtney Williams has 10. Those are the 3 Sun players, as mentioned, in double figures already. And there is your upcoming schedule. This is game 3 of a 4-game homestand for the Sun. They'll be playing 2 games in 3 days. La China, they'll be back on Thursday to take on the Mercury. And they hit the road to play the Liberty and then out at Minnesota. But looking forward to matchup number 2 this season against the Phoenix Mercury on Thursday.
Yeah, the earlier win for Connecticut against Phoenix was a big one because it came at a time where Connecticut really needed to gain some positive momentum and against a team that had caused them trouble in previous seasons. And when you play a team is very important as well, and unfortunately no one likes to deal with injuries, but right now the Phoenix Mercury, with at least 3 key players that I know of that were expected to be out tonight, and that's Diana Taurasi, Essence Carson, and Sancho Little. So if that is the case when they take on Connecticut, you want to play a team when they're not at full speed, and that could play into the Suns' favor.
Sun hoping that on Thursday they'll be in position to keep this winning streak alive. You have the 2 longest winning streaks on the floor right now. Chicago and Connecticut have both won 4 in a row. Bria Holmes hits the jumper. Sun getting close to 60 points here at the half.
What a weapon is Bria Holmes. Adding the mid-range game. We saw her take one from three, she can hit that, she can get to the rim, and she can also pull up and shoot it.
Three doesn't go for Lavender. Faulkner kept it alive for Copper. The Shields straight away. That's a three. Copper, nice rebound. Rejected inside, and Jones strips it away. And the Sun have it back with the shot clock off. Looking to take the last shot of a high-scoring Connecticut first half. 5 seconds. Williams, long jumper. Horn sounds. And the Sun on top by 14. Well, the Sun, when they lead at the half this season, they are 9-0, and they have a 14-point lead right now as we get ready to take our halftime break. And the Sun, led by three players in double figures, Jonquel Jones, 11, Jasmine Thomas, 11, Courtney Williams has 10. Jonquel Jones, as mentioned, the All-Star with 11 points and 7 rebounds at the half, and she's standing by with Robin.
JJ, 4 offensive boards for you in that first half. How effective do you feel you are right now getting position in the paint?
I feel pretty good. Honestly, I do feel better on the defensive side, though. I feel like I'm able to alter shots and basically protect the rim.
Shakina Strickland went out with 3 fouls, 5 minutes left in that second quarter. What was her lack there, not being there, that absence? How did that affect you guys?
Well, I think it's just next man up. Obviously, Strickland's an awesome player. You know what she can do, stretching the floor on offense. I think she was playing really hard on defense, but some of the calls just really didn't go her way. So we just needed to come in with that same intensity, and we'll be good.
Thanks, AJ.
No problem. Thank you.
Bob?
Okay, thank you, Robin. So Jonquel Jones, the All-Star, showing off her All-Star form in that first half. She has 11 points, and the Sun at the half on top of the sky by 14. Sun are 9-0 this season in games they lead at the half is because they come out in the third quarter and generally really pay attention to whatever it is Kurt Miller has said in that halftime locker room.
That's really the mark of a good team, when you can go into the locker room and either make adjustments or just reinforce what you said you were going to do. You know, the first half is very long, and sometimes you lose sight of it, but that was a well-played first half. If the Sun can really play as well in the third quarter as they have, this game is going to get out of hand pretty quickly. So it's up to Chicago to assert themselves here in the third.
And repeating something that we pointed out in the first half, Chicago shorthanded. No Gabby Williams tonight. She stayed behind for this trip to Connecticut. She is under the weather. So one of their key reserves is not available tonight. We also mentioned how Connecticut had some travel difficulties getting into Connecticut. Didn't arrive until very early this morning. They're well rested as far as the schedule is concerned. Chicago has not played since a week ago last Sunday. The Sun played last Wednesday, so they've had off almost an entire week. Both teams on 4-game winning streaks, and the second half is underway from the Mohegan, where the Sun are trying to improve to 10-1 on the year. Jones at 3 to try and get things going here, and Vandersloot pulls down the rebound. Chicago with 3 All-Stars on the floor. Vandersloot, Quigley, and DeShields. DeShields left the game for a while in the first quarter with an apparent knee injury, but shook it off and looked fine on that drive, didn't she?
Yeah, nice finish there. I mean, she has the ability to score around the rim against tall defenders, which she did there against Jonquel Jones, the #1 shot blocker in the league.
DeShields with a nice pass, and Vandersloot with a reverse layup, and it is Chicago off to a good start here in the third quarter.
And that's what I felt like Chicago didn't have enough of in that first half, is ball movement. And when Stephanie Dolson with foul trouble and that injury momentarily to Diamond DeShields, nice shot by Alyssa Thomas. But it felt like they got off offensively and had a few turnovers. Their timing was off. And not to take any credit away from Connecticut, but looked sharp early here.
Dolson looking for position, and she got the position, and she was fouled by Jonquel Jones. Kurt Miller frustrated here in the opening moments of this third quarter.
And Jonquel Jones is prone to foul trouble, and teams know that. So they try to get her down to the paint and be physical with her. And you saw she had that left arm kind of wrapped around Dolson. She's got to go straight up, especially here in the early moments of this third quarter, so that she can stay on the floor.
The third foul on Jonquel. And here's Dolson on the line. Good free throw shooter coming in. Had just missed one free throw all season. Made both here. So Chicago has come out of the locker room with a purpose. 10-point game. Alyssa Thomas down low for Jones, and this time she is fouled by Dolson. And one good foul deserves another in this case.
You know how good Alyssa Thomas is as a facilitator, but how about that perfect pass over the outstretched arms of Stephanie Dolson? The timing that it took to get that to float right to Jonquel. Impressive look there by Alyssa.
And that's what we're referring to when we talk about shared experience. This group has been together for a while. They all know what the other's doing and how to make their teammates look good and set them up. And Jonquel Jones with a couple of made free throws. So Alyssa Thomas has made a good couple of plays. She made a big bucket early in this quarter and set up Jonquel there. Dolson wide open. Swishes it home. 10-point game again. Stephanie Dolson has 8. Jones dribbles past Dolson, who stayed with her. Lavender has been a good pickup this season for Chicago. Played her entire career in L.A. before being traded to Chicago. DeShields hesitates, and she hesitated her way into a traveling violation. James Wade didn't like that call.
Courtney Williams did a nice job of fighting around screens to keep up with DeShields. Couldn't tell there. Looked like she gathered her feet together, but officials called a travel.
Sun by 10. Alyssa Thomas reversing, banking too hard. DeShields the catch, and the bump from behind by Alyssa Thomas. That'll be a foul on Alyssa. It's funny tonight we have Shekinna Strickland on the floor. She was the three-point shooting champion, and Allie Quigley on the floor, the two-time defending champion in that contest. Then you have Diamond DeShields, who is the skills champion, and the runner-up, Jonquel Jones, is out there.
We got all the stars from the Friday night competition in our game, Bob.
Hey, you were out there. You had a good time, didn't you?
Oh, I had a blast. What a showing by Las Vegas. I wouldn't want to host the All-Star game next, I'll tell you. They say Vegas is a show. They put on a show.
All right, Jasmine Thomas has been putting on a show of her own tonight, continuing what she's been doing. She's been really strong scoring-wise over the last 6 games coming in. Jasmine now has 13, and Sun get it right back.
No one stopped the basketball. Jasmine Thomas put it in a next gear, and she's an outstanding athlete. I always say she looked like track was her first sport because she can get up and down the floor with the best of them. She has incredible hops as well. And that time, it went straight to the basket.
DeShields knocked to the ground, and that's going to be a Connecticut foul, giving the ball back to Chicago. Alyssa Thomas gets called here.
Moves a little bit. Yep.
Hip check.
It's a good call.
Well, we've already talked about the physicality of this game. Sun trying to answer after they admitted they were not the tougher team the first time these clubs matched up back on June 23rd. That was a Chicago win. Sent the Sun into a tailspin. Alyssa Thomas from Strickland scores 2.
And that's more of her game. We saw her take a shot one-on-one. She has the ability to do that, but her strength is when she's moving.
Reverse layup, short. Alyssa Thomas, nice lead pass for Courtney Williams and missed the layup. Courtney a little mistimed there. That was a beautiful feed. Jasmine Thomas went for the steal. We were talking about how Kurt Miller has given his team more free rein defensively, and you just saw an example there. You know, going for it when you feel like you have a chance.
Yeah, shooting the gaps. You got Jonquel Jones in the paint protecting the rim, so you can get out and stretch the D a little bit. And Quigley with that pure jump shot.
She now has 12. She has made 3 3-pointers, and that was her first 2-point field goal. Shakina Strickland. Jones, nice drive.
So much more aggressive on the low block, not avoiding the physical contact, inviting it.
Sun matched their halftime lead of 14. And a traveling violation. Good defense there by Connecticut.
Yeah, and Diamond DeShields has to see the defense sooner and make that extra pass a little bit earlier. But Connecticut continues in pick and roll situations to crowd the ball handler, and it's been effective.
Technical foul on James Wade. He was frustrated earlier on the traveling call. He's been frustrated most of this game. And so it'll be a technical free throw coming up for the Connecticut Sun. Jasmine Thomas having a nice night. 13 points for the Sun point guard. Sun by 14. James Wade got teed up before that timeout. So the Sun will have a free throw coming up here with 4:59 remaining in this third quarter. 3 games coming out of the All-Star break in the WNBA. This game, and the Mystics are playing Phoenix right now, and the Mystics in the third quarter of that game are up by 20 on the Mercury. We'll see Phoenix here at the Mohegan on Thursday, and then later Las Vegas and Dallas get together. And of course, scoreboard watching time. Well, it's always time to watch the scoreboard, but now especially if you're a Connecticut Sun fan.
Yes, with the standings so tight. I was having a conversation with ESPN writer Michelle Vopel at All-Star, and she said that there are historical numbers to support the fact that this is the closest 1 through 12 that the WNBA standings have been, and speaks to the league's competitiveness this season.
Again, in danger of getting into cliche territory as the whistle blows. Stephanie Dolson reacts. And she reacts because she gets called on the foul there as Jones went down. But the cliche I was headed toward is really, it's anybody's title to win this year. Now, by anybody, we know there are teams that are not really in it, but you get the point. You could name any team right now among the contenders and say they're going to end up winning this thing, and you can make a case.
Yeah, it's been a very strange year in that way. That seems like anyone can beat anyone on any given night.
Nice strip there as Alyssa Thomas had it taken away by Parker, and DeShields comes away with a couple at the other end.
So fun to watch in the open court, especially when you have a passer like Courtney Vandersloot that can deliver it to you. Trapping here by Chicago.
Sun look to adjust. 10 to shoot. Courtney Williams, kick out. Strickland. Yeah, loose ball foul there in Connecticut was pretty easy to spot.
I thought there was a hold on Lavender. I didn't even see Jones, so it must be kind of a free-for-all down low because I saw a Chicago foul. I didn't catch the Connecticut foul.
They got it on Jones, and
that's a big one on Jones.
number 4. the Shields. That could have made it very interesting. It is getting interesting again, and the intensity level here you can sense is picking up.
Well, Chicago's not giving up.
No. That's a big shot there by Jasmine Thomas.
Boy, how fun is Jasmine Thomas to watch play the game of basketball on both ends of the floor.
15 now for the point guard. Nice floater. Tough shot there from Quigley.
Has a knack for the basket.
Jonquel for Williams. Here's Jasmine. A three is good. Jasmine Thomas again. She now has 18 points, and she is lighting it up again from behind the arc. She has made at least 2 3-pointers now in 6 of her last 7 games. Sun crowd wanted the foul. Vandersloot misfires. Strickland the catch, the drive, the kick out Jonquel, and the three is good. Great ball movement by the Sun as a great 3-point shooter, Strickland, finds Jonquel Jones, an assist to Strick. And Jones to 3, and just like that, the Sun have broken this game open.
What a run by the Connecticut Sun, capped by that 3-pointer by Jonquel Jones, but started by Jasmine Thomas, who has just come out with a vengeance in this game. You love it when a player gets better throughout their career. And when Jasmine Thomas came to the Connecticut Sun, she said, here I was allowed to make mistakes and play through those mistakes and learn. And Curtin Miller really trusted her. And she has grown not only in her ability as a leader and a passer, but more importantly, scoring the basketball.
And as a team, the Sun have done a great job containing opponents, especially in the third quarter. And so far in this third quarter, they have limited the Sky to 14 points with 2:21 to go in this quarter. Sun have gotten physical at the defensive end, and those 3-pointers back-to-back, you got to wonder now if Chicago has fight-back ability. That's like a punch to the solar plexus.
Yeah, they gave him a punch. Solar plexus, I like that. That's a good one. They gave him a punch coming out. You know, Chicago showed some energy to start the third quarter, but Connecticut really learning how to take the momentum back. And that's one thing they didn't do well in that 5-game losing streak. They get down and they get out, and they couldn't recover in some games. But what a run. And the crowd behind him as well.
Sun 9-1 in this building this year. Parker, Lavender on the weak side, cleans it up.
And Jonquel Jones has to be careful because Chicago looking to go right after her. They want her to have to defend down low and pick up another foul.
Holmes right down the lane. Nobody got a body on her, and Bria Holmes says, I'll take it. Winding it down here in the third quarter. Sun by 18. Copper lost it. Now Jasmine Thomas with a purpose. Bouncing for Jonquel Jones, and now the Sun are just running right past Chicago. 20-point Connecticut lead. Coming up on a minute to go here in the third quarter. Lavender got in position, and Faulkner found her.
Nice finish by Lavender, but the question is, can Chicago get a stop?
Sun have done a great job in this quarter scoring in transition. This time Jones sets up and hits another three. Third three of the game for Jonquel.
It's been a lot of situations where Chicago's posts have had to switch and pick and roll or try to recover to the ball, and they just have not gotten there aggressively enough and closed out quickly enough.
Under 10 to shoot. Faulkner, nice look for Copper. Shot clock off. Sun with a 19-point lead here late in the third quarter as Bria Holmes puts up the three. Chicago has one last shot here to score in the quarter. Copper off of the run. Horn sounds, and the third quarter comes to an end. Another good third quarter for the Connecticut Sun. The Sun had a 14-point lead at the half. They outscored Chicago 25-20 in that third quarter. Fourth time this season that Jonquel Jones has had a 20-point game, and we're not even into the fourth quarter just yet. 23 points for Jonquel and 8 rebounds, so she's closing in on perhaps another double-double. She has been one of the standouts tonight for the Sun. She'll get a break here to start this fourth quarter as the Sun have built this 19-point lead, bidding for their 5th straight win.
And what I've been impressed with most with Jonquel, obviously her silky smooth scoring and her versatility, but she's played with some foul trouble in this game, both in the first half and the second half, and has not really let that bother her, has still played under control and also aggressive at the same time.
Well, Stu takes one down low and lays it through. Connecticut by 17. Playing against the Chicago team that without Gabby Williams tonight. She's under the weather, so she stayed behind for this trip. The Sky play on Saturday at Atlanta as Bria Holmes delivers again off of the bench. Holmes now has 11 off of the bench. She has been a real force over the last month or so off of that Connecticut bench.
Very quiet 11 points, but an X factor. Sat out last year on maternity leave. Her little girl turned 1 the other day, but starting to get comfortable. And speaking of comfortable, Katie Lou, after an air ball, knocks down a 3. Keeping in mind that injury was to her right wrist. So that's her shooting hand.
Yeah, she broke her wrist back on the 9th of June. This is her 3rd game back from that injury. They'll stay at the Chicago end. Two hot teams. Both teams have won 4 in a row. But this game being played in Connecticut, where the Sun don't lose often. Rachel Banham misfired. That's Morgan Tuck. Good position for the offensive rebound and the putback and a possible 3-point play.
Morgan Tuck was definitely going to take advantage of that opportunity to score on the rookie. Fellow Connecticut Husky, Katie Lou, just out-muscled down low by Tuck.
Tuck will settle for 2. Sun by 19. Chloe Jackson, the rookie out of Baylor, in the game now.
James Wade trying to see if he can get some momentum from this group, if they can put together a little run here to get the Sky back into this.
You know, all the starters are sitting to start this fourth quarter for Chicago. Jasmine Thomas, the only starter on the floor right now for the Sun. One out of 2 for Jackson. Almost 2 minutes gone by here in the fourth quarter. Holmes bullet pass underneath, and she finds Brianna Jones. So Jones off of the bench has a couple.
There's been some possessions where Chicago just has not looked sharp on their angles defensively, opening up too much. Sometimes their post players on switches, not able to recover efficiently enough. Nice drive by Faulkner, and that's what you like about this unit for James Wade, is Faulkner can get into the paint. Chloe Jackson, Copper, all of them off of the bounce can create, but also find the open shooter.
A lot of talent on the Chicago team. Kurt Miller is telling us before the game as Brianna Jones scores again. She has back-to-back baskets. You look at the Chicago team and says you wonder how they lose. I mean, they're deep, they're athletic, and he, of course, is a figure of speech. But the point is, there's a lot of talent on the Sky.
Well, chemistry and familiarity counts for a lot, you know, and Connecticut has an advantage there because their core has been together. But when you're adding new pieces like Jantel Lavender's first year on this team, you know, you have a Diamond DeShields only in her second year. Gabby's young. Katie Lou is young. You know, so everyone learning each other, that's a part of it. You know, that's why Minnesota was so good for that stretch because that core group knew each other like the back of their hands, and that counts for something in this league.
That's exactly what Connecticut is counting on this year.
Yeah.
Hoping that all those years of being together will pay major dividends this season. Oh, Rachel Bannon with a nice pass. Heidemann short in the lane attempt. Starters back in now for Chicago. DeShields from Vandersloot, and DeShields will go to the line to take a couple.
Good body control by Diamond DeShields. Right here. And you know what the thing about Diamond is only she can stop herself, really. Not that she can't be defended, but she's at her best, in my opinion, when she's putting the ball on the deck, just because she's so good around the rim, and she is a good jump shooter. But knowing when to take that jump shot and when to drive is something that she's developing as a pro. And it's good to be in a system where she has the freedom because you could see her learning as the year goes on.
DeShields just 23 years old, second year for Chicago. And a unforced turnover there on the Sun. Tuck and Bannon miscommunicating. So after the All-Star break, the Sun back to work, and they're busy because they're going to be playing 2 games in 3 days. They get Phoenix here at the Mohegan on Thursday. Dolson, Vandersloot cutting down the lane, beat Heidemann. Dolson found her, and a timeout called by Kurt Miller. 6:24 to go in this one. Connecticut on top by 17.
Welcome you back to Mohegan Sun Arena. We mentioned the All-Star three-point champion in the Open, but it's her birthday, so we're going to talk about her again. Strickland had her teammates cheering her on in Las Vegas, as well as her head coach, Kurt Miller, glued to his television screen, clapping with every bucket. Then here, the moment, the pure jubilation, absolute joy, the moment Strickland took home the crown. Not too shabby for one's first appearance at an All-Star weekend. Her smile absolutely says it all. For more three-pointers and Strickland reactions, you can follow us on all of our social media channels at Connecticut Sun.
Thanks, Robin. And you can't fake that exhilaration.
No.
That was so real.
That smile was a beautiful thing to see. And I asked her, you know, who said congratulations to her after this stood out. And she said she had so many text messages, she couldn't get back to everyone until the next day because she was just texting back. But said her head coach, said the former head coach of the Tennessee Lady Vols, Holly Warlick, has sent her a text. And that was something that meant a lot to her. But she was a star, boy.
Yeah. Under pressure. You know, you got a lot of eyes on you.
That's right.
Bright lights, literally. Good for her. And today celebrating her 29th birthday. Well, Chicago can get back into this game with shots like that from somebody who can make a few, huh?
They're making a run at it right here.
It's a 6-0 Chicago run. Tuck, short. Not that time for Chicago, and here comes the Sun. By the way, quickly now, off of that last made three, 4 in the game. Sun by 14, almost midway through this final quarter.
She could hit that.
And she made you look good there, LaChina.
I've seen her do that too many nights at Marquette. That left-hand, long-range three-pointer.
All reserves on the floor right now for Connecticut. And DeShields will go to the line.
Right there, Heideman's got to take a charge. She was in position, but Diamond DeShields made a little nifty move to get around her. Right here, Heideman's there. Just take a fall. You know, make the officials make the call there, but instead made some contact. And DeShields good at maneuvering her way around the defense as well.
Diamond's had a quiet scoring night, averages a little more than 15 per game. She is Chicago's leading scorer. May free throw here would give her 10. She's got it. Banham driving at Quigley, and the rejection by Dolson. Now Dolson will try a three. That would have been big for Chicago. Now the Sun push. Heideman steps into one and has it knocked away from behind by Vandersloot. And the foul.
And smart foul by Morgan Tuck, but is that surprising? She's so smart, and that is one of her biggest attributes, high IQ. She stops the break and allows her team to get back and set up the defense without putting Chicago on the free throw line.
Sun with 4 team fouls now as DeShields gives it up on the dribble. Holmes, the steal. Has it poked away by DeShields. Chicago has it back.
Oh, boy, there was a lot of contact there on Holmes by DeShields. Surprised there was no foul call going up the left baseline.
Kurt Miller agrees with you and stays at the Chicago end. Less than 4 minutes to go in the game now. Sun trying to close it out. Led by 14 at the half. 15-point lead, Chicago ball. And Quigley got hit.
Well, and if you're Connecticut, you don't want to stop the clock. And that was the situation where you don't want to foul the jump shooter. And time is not on the Sky's side, but Connecticut can't help him out by putting him on the free throw line, stopping the progression of this game.
Quigley on the line, making the first. And how important is it for the Connecticut Sun, who have another game on Thursday, to give these starters a rest here, try and let the reserves finish this thing off?
Yeah, James Wade feels like his starters can help to make a push. A lot of time left in this game, but they're going to have to make some shots and get some stops.
Ten to shoot. And Tuck threw it away. Well, here come the starters. Well, Kurt waited as long as he could.
Yeah, you saw him a few minutes ago inching like he wanted to put his starters back in. And if you're the bench, you're disappointed in this because this was pretty much wrapped up. And you want that time to not only prove to coach that you can be trusted in those situations, but give your starting unit a rest. They deserved it. They came out and got a big lead.
After the Lavender miss, the sarcastic cheer from the Mohegan Sun crowd. Good crowd tonight on this Tuesday night. First game back from the All-Star break. 15 to go in the regular season for the Sun, including this one. 7 of them will be here at the Mohegan.
You would think that Connecticut just wants to run some time off of the clock here, move the ball around.
Strickland posting up. Not that time.
I like it.
Kick out. Vandersloot. Good look. Swish. 10-point game. Interesting. Crowd getting a little anxious here. Jones defended well. Jasmine Thomas. There's the double team. She's in trouble. She lost it. Chicago has the ball back, down by 10. So we have ourselves a game here. 2:38 to go. Sun look to finish it off. Now holding on to a 10-point lead. Well, China, after Jonquel Jones hit a three-pointer late in the third quarter, the Sun took their biggest lead of 21 points at 82-61. A lot of people in the arena probably thought the game was over at that point. They would have been mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, Kurt Miller thinking that he had a sizable lead, enough to put the second unit in, and whoa, costly turnover there by Chicago. But ended up having to put his starters back in the game, and should give credit to the Sky. They have not given up on this by any stretch of the imagination. And
but that was a bad turnover right there.
It was.
That really hurts their cause as the Sun get it back. And Alyssa Thomas, the leaner, defended well. Dolson, Quigley pushes it up, doesn't go down. And another rebound for Jones. She is one rebound away from what would be her 10th double-double of the season. More importantly for the Sun is to finish this thing off here. Under 2 to go, they lead by 10. Jonquel gathers. He's tied up by Diamond DeShields, and they get in there and separate them. Got a little testy there for a second.
yeah, it did. And you can understand, because every possession is important. This is only a 10-point game.
So DeShields and Jones face to face.
DeShields got a pretty good vertical, so she gives up a few inches to Jonquel Jones, but I'm interested to see who gets this. Now,
Yeah.
Jones has a 7'2" wingspan, so those long arms of Jonquel are an asset. Ooh, looked like Jones tipped it, but it went to Sloot.
Who finds Quigley, who will get a couple of free throws. And just as critically, the clock stops. I agree with you. I think Jones won the jump ball, but
I thought Jasmine Thomas got all ball, but you got to credit, number one, Vandersloot gets the ball up the floor, so doesn't lose time on the dribble. And then Quigley, who's not known for her interior toughness, takes it inside with a nice ball fake.
remember that Natisha Heidemann three that you called before she took it? That's the last time the Sun have scored in this game. That was a while ago. A 9-0 run here by Chicago to make this very interesting with 1:38 to go. And there's a major collision at midcourt that will result in Chicago getting the ball back. Alyssa Thomas is called on the foul. Take a look.
Oh, wow. Definitely leaned in on that. And I believe they just called a technical on Thomas as well.
You know, the China football training camps are open, and I'll tell you what, that was a football-type hit right there.
Yeah, it looked like Thomas leaned to her left. Got in the way of Diamond DeShields.
And Alyssa Thomas was indeed called for a technical foul. So things get even more interesting here with 1:37 to go. In a game that late in the third quarter, the Sun led by 21. And the lead is down to 8 with a technical free throw coming up for Chicago.
Well, if you're Connecticut, you can't focus on the calls at this point. You know, I mean, it's one of those things on those screens. And Alyssa Thomas is a hard player to officiate because of the power and strength she has. But you got to lead, and you're at home, and you got 1:37 left. And so you got to show some emotional maturity right here.
Now, the Sun are in the penalty, so you've got some free throws coming up here with the clock stopped at 1:37 to go. Check to see that. We talked about that Heidemann three being the last time that Connecticut scored in this game, which at the time made it 94-77. Free throw is made as we check in with Robin Brown.
Well, Bob, we saw that technical foul that was called, and Kurt Miller spent most of that huddle speaking with the referees. But when he did enter, he said, guys, we need to finish this game. This is how we show how tough we are.
Well, here we go as the Sky keep possession with 90 seconds to go. Dawson, the fake. Vandersloot gives for Dawson. Jasmine Thomas knocked it away, but the kick out to Vandersloot. The three is good. 4-point game. That's going to be a Chicago foul. It has been 4 minutes, rounding it off by a few seconds, since the Sun last scored in this game. 13-0 run by Chicago.
Boy, kind of shocked that
Strickland needed to call a timeout. That was very close to being a 5-second violation.
I thought Connecticut would have gone to the free throw line, but they're not in the bonus.
Sun are in the penalty. The Sky will be in the penalty on their next foul, but we talked about the reserves trying to, get this thing close to the finish line. That wasn't happening. And then the Sun, Kurt Miller put the starters back in, and that hasn't worked either. You've got to give the Sky a lot of credit here. They have summoned up a lot of energy, and they've tightened things up and hit some big shots here in the closing minutes to make what was a 21-point deficit almost disappears down to 4.
And it hasn't been beautiful basketball in these last few minutes for either team, but it's about making plays, and Chicago has made more plays. As look at the Shields. She is hawking the basketball right now.
Chicago trying to D up here with a minute to go. Thomas floats it up off of the mark. Jonquel Jones will go to the line to shoot a pair with 57 seconds to go. And she will have a chance to do something the Sun have not done in well over 4 minutes, and that's score a point.
And you got to be disappointed if you're Chicago, because that is how Connecticut has beat you tonight, is their work on the glass and their offensive rebounding. Got to put a body, especially on number 35 in orange, Jonquel Jones.
It had been over 4 minutes since the Sun scored in this game, until Jones made the first free throw. Jones makes the second free throw. And the Sun have a little bit more breathing room, up by 6. Quigley, 3. A little too strong. Jones has the rebound. Knocked to the deck. Physical from the start, physical to the end here.
And this crowd wants every whistle they can get. I thought that was a fair play for the ball, but high emotion, heightened emotion in the building tonight.
You can feel it.
Yeah.
The crowd got anxious, and now, they reacted to that last foul call, and you could actually sense the anxiousness inside the Mohegan. As Jones has now hit free throws for the Sun, and I emphasize that point because that's been a problem for the Sun in games this year, hitting them consistently from the foul line. And these are obviously money free throws for the Sun and Jones, and she's now 4 for 4.
Well, and one thing Robin said in her last report is she talked about how Kurt said, we show how tough we are by finishing. And finishing doesn't always mean getting a rebound. It's hitting a free throw late in the game. It's the little things, not fouling. And this is toughness. And the Sun trying to hold on with 48.4 left.
Yeah, I said 4 for 4. I want to be specific. Jones is 4 for her last 4 in the last 10 seconds or so of this game. 6 for 6 on the night. The Sun with 98 points have matched their season high, but this isn't necessarily the kind of game that Kurt Miller wanted. He didn't want to have to outscore the Chicago team like they have had to do here tonight.
You are so right, Bob. He said to us, we're going to try to keep them under 75 points. And I don't know how many points they had when Natisha Heidemann hit that 3 before Connecticut went on that drought. But, defensively, Connecticut let up a little bit in that stretch and let Chicago back into this, but put themselves in good position here.
That's a traveling violation. You don't see that too often from her. But the Sun get it back, and if they can score here, maybe they can finally put the lid on this one. A game that certainly appeared well in hand for Connecticut late in the third quarter when they led by as many as 21. $10 to shoot, 30 to play. Strickland a three. Would have been nice to have seen that gone down for the birthday girl.
She's got a big smile on her face. She wanted to hit that.
You've got to give Chicago a lot of credit. Playing shorthanded tonight. No Gabby Williams, and down by as many as 21. They made this a game.
And even after the travel woes and a big punch from the Sun, the Skies still fought back. Something to take with them into their next game.
So barring something improbable here in the last 10 seconds, the Sky winning streak, which had been 4, will end, and the Sun will extend their winning streak to 5. Second time this season the Sky have put up 90 or more in a game against Connecticut, but this time it'll be part of a loss. Back on June 23rd, they beat the Sun 93-75. If Williams hits this one, it'll be 100 for the Sun, and the crowd reacts as she does. Hit them both, and for the first time this season, the Sun as many as 100 in a game.
Bird didn't want to have to run the score up to win this game, but it shows that Connecticut can score in a variety of ways and that they can win in a variety of ways.
Well, a relieved Connecticut Sun crowd rises as one, as the Connecticut Sun have finished this game off for their 5th straight win. They built a 21-point second-half lead before Chicago came roaring back, got as close as 4 late, but the Sun hit their free throws down the stretch, end up winning it 100-94. 5